Hey guys. All right, we're gonna be covering InDesign next. This is gonna be a lot of you should already know how to do this from the previous two videos. So I'm gonna skip over stuff pretty quick and just touch on some of the main points here. So, just like in the other two programs, if I hit new file, we get the same menu. It's going to be the same options here. You've got your presets, you've got your width, height, orientation, different units. You do have the option for pages, and that's kind of the main difference here. You also have the number of columns, column gutter, margins, bleed, and all that. These settings aren't too important for what we're going to be doing for now. I will discuss again the differences that you'll want to check into on this when we go over your first project. All right, so I'm just going to go with these default settings, hit create, and we'll get dropped in here. Again, just like all the other, go away. Just like with the other options, we do have these layout settings that we can change here. Going to jump right into classic, and again we get our menu up here at the top. We have our same bar on the side, and we have tools on the left. Um, so straight from the top, you have the same direct selection tool and selection tool that we have here from Illustrator. Um, we have the text tool. It's going to function pretty similar. We also have the line tool. We have the pencil tool, which is kind of like a pen tool, but you can just kind of do the same thing with it. You have the pen tool itself, which works the exact same way that it does in Illustrator. Um, the only thing I would mention about that, though, is that if you want to actually work on graphics, I would suggest you do the graphics in Illustrator and then bring them over to InDesign. Unless it's something small, you really don't want to be doing too much work here in InDesign. It's just a little bit clunkier. That's all. Like, it's just clunkier to work with. Um, so, anyway, you've got your same fill and your stroke options here. You've got your same tools here, though you only get a reduced set, so you don't get the star tool, you just get polygons. Um, and then the option, for example, for doing for doing fills, you can double click on it, or you can click on this box here. You can set your fill and your stroke. So it's a lot of the same configurations. You have the same stroke settings as well. So if you want to make the strokes thicker, whatever. But again, I don't recommend you actually work on graphics in this program. Work on the laying out the content, and that's where this program really shines. Let me see if I can get an image for this example. Okay, so in the previous video I showed you guys, one of the main strengths that I had mentioned or one of the things that I had you guys do was drag things into Photoshop so that you could work on it. And in InDesign, you can do the same thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to place this image here. And you can see that what it's done is it has this low resolution kind of background going on here. Um, and so when you have high resolution images like this, what InDesign is doing is it's replacing the full size image here with a lower resolution one so that it can go away. So that it can display a whole bunch of images. I've done 256 page, or sorry, 128 page front and back print magazines with this. So you can end up with a lot of pages, a ton of content, and the program will start crashing if you don't do this, or if it doesn't do this. So it gives you the option to basically have these images at a lower resolution. And what you can do if you just want to double check before you go to print is you can go to view overprint preview, and it'll switch everything to that high resolution version again. But if you do that and you have a bunch of stuff, like see how much slower that kind of works right there? So make sure you have the overprint preview turned off, and it's a lot quicker. All right, so another thing in this is resizing. One of the problems that we've always had is if you go to resize stuff, there are two boxes around stuff you drag in here. So there's this outer cropping border, and then if you double click in here, you get this brown border, which is the actual content, right? So, oh no. Okay. I accidentally deleted the image. All right, so go away. Okay, so that'll trip you guys up a little bit if you do that and it's not resizing it. What you need to do is you need to hold down Control and Shift, and then you can resize it, and it will do both the frame and the content all at the same time. Another interesting thing with InDesign, let me get a bunch of text here. All right, is that it will work around stuff. So if I have this image here, and I'll use this shortcut to send that to the back, like I showed you guys in Illustrator earlier. You can use these buttons right here to shape the text around the content. And then this is a point where I would just grab this box right here, so that cropping border, and I would use that to bump this out a little bit. Okay, that'll let you actually kind of work with stuff here in Illustrator, or sorry, in InDesign. It's a good way to just sort of buffer your text out, and then if you need to, you can kind of move stuff around as appropriate, just to get things laid out. When you have text, again, you have a lot of the same options. They're just kind of spread out differently here. So, oh, well, this is here now too. So you've got, where your text is registered, you've got any kind of adjustments you want to do to it, so rotation, skewing. You've got, oh, that's just that. And then it looks like I don't actually have a character window. So this is where we get our font size, line adjustments, and all that. But for the most part, you're going to be working in basically dragging content into here and then organizing it. Now, another neat feature it has is when you work with multiple pages, if I add pages, you see how it didn't add it to the right over here? It added it down here. And that's because it's set up to work, or at least with the way that I went into it by default here. This is your first page, this is your second page behind the first page, and then this would be your third page. So as you add pages, it keeps going in this staggered configuration. Now you have this right here, a parent, and you can add more of these if you want. But if you double click on here, what you can do is add stuff in so that you have, and I'm gonna just make this garbage so I can show you guys real quick what's going on. But if these were my pages and I wanted to have some kind of title block going on my left pages and a title block on the right, and you can already see what's happened over here is once I put those in, all my left pages have this format, all my right pages have that format. If you want to change these formats, you can drag the none out here. So I can put none on that and clear it out. I could duplicate this spread and create a new one where instead of having black or whatever here, we could do, we could do blue, sample that blue, and this just sort of helps you keep a consistent layout is what this is for, but it can come in handy when you're doing a presentation and getting a whole bunch of things set up. So now that I'm done with that, I can double click back here, and now I have these different layouts. I always want to drag it to the page for some reason. You can drag it to specific page, or you can't drag it to I can't go take like that. The left will only work on the left, and the right will only work on the right, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Okay, so that's the bulk of InDesign. Again, you have the same options, so I can hit D over here to set to default. The fill is empty on default. You have your fill, so you can set a fill to whatever I'm working with, gradient or nothing. What's really handy in this program is the ruler right here. You can turn that on and off with, well, right now it's hide rulers, not show rulers, but control on the keyboard, and that'll work in the other two programs as well. Really helpful if you click in here and then drag out, and you can set these little bars right here. So if you're trying to line up content at certain areas, now you can do this where now I have a region within the window that it snaps to. Oh, did I? Of course I missed that. Where it snaps to, so that you can get, say, I want to have a chunk of text here and then space here that I'm not going to go into. So there's a couple different things with InDesign. Basically it's what I'm trying to get at is you should be setting up your presentations in here, but you should be doing the bulk of your work in the other two programs. So I hope that makes sense. Let me check my list. No, that looks like everything. So that was pretty quick, 10 minutes, not bad. All right, so sorry for jamming 2 lectures on you guys, but I'm trying to give you more time for the milestone later this week. So that's it for InDesign, and I'll see you guys in class.